Erica. Welcome back to Maniacal Reader. Today I'm going to be doing my June wrap-up. I read 9 books in the month of June, so let's get started. The first book I ended up reading in June is The Raven King by Maggie Stiefvater. This is the 4th and final book in her Raven Cycle series. This is a young adult fantasy paranormal series. It follows these characters named Blue Sargent. Blue Sargent is one of the main characters of the series. She's a regular, ordinary girl. She's very relatable, but she comes from a family of psychics. All her life, psychics have been telling her that if she kisses her true love, he will die. Because of this, Blue has no interest in boys or falling in love whatsoever. Blue works at a restaurant, and by chance, she meets a group of boys who call themselves the Raven Boys. The Raven Boys are rich, and they go to a private school, a little farther away from where Blue goes to school. Gansey is the leader of the Raven Boys, and he has a deep interest in mythology and finding a mysterious king called the Raven King throughout the series. Ronan is the bad boy of the group. He has a tough outer shell, but underneath he's a nice guy. Adam also goes to this private school, but he's a scholarship student and is jealous of what everyone has. Finally, there's Noah. He is the quiet observer of the group, who says very little. Throughout the series, Blue and the Raven Boys become close friends, and they track something called the ley line. A ley line signifies a spiritual place, and it's a line that spirits can walk on. Blue and her friends also discover a mystical forest that they call Cabe's Water. Throughout the series, there's a lot of twists and turns. The readers learn that a few of these Raven Boys have magical powers that are connected to Cabe's Water in some way. This is the 4th book in the series, so I won't spoil anything for you. There are a lot of twists and turns, especially in this final book, regarding some of the characters' relationships and the mythology in this series as well. A lot happens to the main characters in this final book, and readers are introduced to some new characters as well. I gave this book 5 out of 5 stars. It was absolutely amazing. I was on the edge of my seat near the end of this book for sure. I have a spoilery review coming up in the next week or so, and in that review you'll get to hear more of my spoilery thoughts on this book. I hope you enjoy it. The next book I read after The Raven King is Confess by Colleen Hoover. This is a new adult romance book. It follows this girl named Auburn. Auburn wants to pick up the pieces of her shattered life and just move on. When she walks into a Texas art gallery, she doesn't expect to run into an artist there named Owen Gentry. Auburn and Owen meet by chance, and they hit it off. Auburn used to be in a relationship with her first boyfriend named Adam when she was 15, but Adam passed away from an illness. Auburn is eager to start over in her life, and meeting Owen is her new start. Everything seems to be going well in Auburn and Owen's relationship until Auburn starts to have doubts about Owen, and she suspects that Owen is hiding a big secret from her. I thought Auburn and Owen's relationship wasn't exactly instant love, but their relationship developed way too quickly. Also, near the start of the book, readers get to learn that Owen knows Auburn from somewhere, but he can't exactly remember where. As the story moves forward, the reader learns some interesting new information about Auburn. It turns out Auburn had a little boy with her first boyfriend, Adam, that passed away a few years ago. What the reader comes to know is that, unfortunately, Auburn doesn't have custody of her son, and that's because her boyfriend's parents thought she was too young to take care of him. A few years back, when Auburn signed the custody papers, she wasn't really sure what she was doing, and she thought that even though she signed over custody, she would be able to visit her son occasionally. The truth is that her boyfriend's mom doesn't really trust her around her son and doesn't think she's a good mom at all. Because of how her old boyfriend's mom treats her, Auburn doesn't really have confidence in herself as a mom. And also there's this weird relationship that happens between Auburn and her old boyfriend's brother named Trey, which I didn't really agree with. It didn't really seem like Auburn had a lot of autonomy in this book, and she was just trying to have a good relationship. Trey is like a father figure in her son's life, so she was trying to make things work, but that didn't really go so well for her. First, Trey seems like a nice guy, but there's this darker twist surrounding him in this book, which I didn't like. Also, as Owen and Auburn's relationship grows, he sort of becomes possessive of Auburn, which I didn't really like at all. That's why I only gave this book 2 stars. This book was okay for me, but I definitely had a lot of problems with it. In the beginning, Owen and Auburn's relationship developed fine, but as the book moved forward, he seemed a little too possessive of Auburn in my taste, so that kind of turned me off altogether. This was definitely the most disappointing Colleen Hoover book that I've read, and I definitely won't be rereading it in the future. The next book I read was Hatred Day by T.S. Pettibone. This is a young adult science fiction dystopian book, and this is the first book in a new series. This book is set in the future in the year 2052, and it follows the main character named Snowfred Ugami. In this world, humanity is united against an extraterrestrial species called the Inborns. Inborns have godlike intelligence, and their arrival on Earth has caused environmental and biological crisis. The main character has been enslaved and rejected by her inborn kind, and there's a war going on between humans and Inborns. Snowfred City has become the center of this interspecies war, and in order to gain back her freedom, especially after a human official is found dead, she teams up with the Inborn commander. He promises her fame and fortune, but what she doesn't realize is she's being used as bait. This book is definitely very interesting and complex. I gave it 4 out of 5 stars. The world building was a little slow in the beginning, and there was a lot of expositional descriptions about the world and such, but as I got reading the book, I warmed up to the characters and all of the action that was happening. The commander and his band of soldiers are trying to kill some creature that threatens the existence of all Inborns and their kind. There's interesting romance that happens in this book regarding the main character and another character, which I enjoyed, and there's so much action in this book, which was really exciting. I have a review of this book coming soon, so you'll get to hear more of my thoughts in that review. The next book I read was Addicted to You by Krista and Becca Ritchie. This is a new adult romance series, and Addicted to You is the first book. This book follows the romance of Lily and Lo. Lily is addicted to sex, while Lo is addicted to booze. Throughout this series, you get to see the ups and downs of Lily and Lo's relationship. This series is combined with a spin-off series that lets you see the romance of some of the other characters. In my opinion, this book handled their addictions well, and readers get to see how far their addictions have taken them in life, and that they've isolated themselves from pretty much everyone in their lives because of their addictions. Lily and Lo have known each other their whole lives, and they've been really good friends, but it's only until this book where their relationship starts to turn into something more. I loved the ups and downs of this book. In addition to Lily and Lo's romance, we also get to see the family background of these two characters and how their family has influenced the people that they are as well. I won't really say much else about it because I am planning on doing a full-length review of this book coming up soon, so look out for that. I gave this book 4 out of 5 stars. I really enjoyed the ending of this book. It definitely threw me for a loop, but it was a nice surprise for sure. There is some new family information that Lo discovers, and I enjoyed seeing his reaction to all of that. Next up, I have Ricochet. This is book 1.5 in the Addicted series. It picks up right where the previous book left off. At the end of the first book, Lo leaves for rehab. So in this book, we get to see more of Lily's journey and how she handles herself since Lo is away at rehab. I won't say anything spoilery since this is a sequel, but I ended up giving this book 4 out of 5 stars. I thought that Lily was strong with herself since Lo was in rehab, and she did have some ups and downs along the way. I ended up giving this book 4 out of 5 stars. I really enjoyed this book. I just didn't enjoy it as much as the first one. The next book I read was Addicted for Now by Krista and Becca Ritchie. This is book 2 in the Addicted series. I don't want to say too much about this book because this is one of the books that I read for TBR Takedown, and I talked about it in my wrap-up for TBR Takedown. So I'll put a link to that video below. All I'm going to say is I gave this book 5 out of 5 stars, and it was really amazing. I liked it a lot more than I did the previous 2 books in the series. Next up, I read Kiss the Sky by Krista and Becca Ritchie. This is the first book in the Calloway Sisters series, and it's the book that comes after Addicted for Now. This book follows the romance of Rose Calloway and Connor Cobbold. This is also a book that I read for TBR Takedown, so I talk about this book in that video. But I gave this book 4 out of 5 stars. I really enjoyed it, and I did like Connor and Rose's romance, but I just didn't enjoy it as much as Lily and Lo's romance. The next book I read was November 9 by Colleen Hoover. This is a new adult romance book, and it's a standalone. I also talked about this book in my wrap-up for TBR Takedown, so I won't talk much about this book here, but I ended up giving this book 3 out of 5 stars. After putting it down initially, I found that this book turned out alright, so I enjoyed it. I would see myself rereading this book in the future. And the last book I read in June was Hothouse Flower by Krista and Becca Ritchie. This is book 2 in the Calloway Sisters series, and it's the book that comes after Kiss the Sky. In this book, readers follow the romance of Daisy and Drake. Daisy is the youngest Calloway sister, and she is the sister that her mom controls the most. Daisy is a model. Reich is the half-brother of Lo. Daisy and Reich's personalities match perfectly. They've gotten to know each other over the course of the series, and they're really good friends. It's only until this book that their friendship turns into something more. Because Lily's sex addiction has become public knowledge, Daisy has always acted like this hasn't bothered her, but honestly it has. Since this incident happened, Daisy has gotten into a lot of conflicts with her older friends from high school. She's now 18. Things that happened to her in high school continue to haunt her, and she has sleeping problems and post-traumatic stress because of everything that's happened to her. Reich is the one that comes to her rescue, and their relationship develops from there. I loved this book so much. I gave it 5 out of 5 stars. I loved Daisy and Reich's romance, but now from reading this book, I realize that Lily and Lo are my favorite couple in this series. Reich and Daisy make a close second though. I can't wait to continue on with this series. I am so looking forward to it. This is one of the best new adult series that I've read in a long time, for sure. Those are all of the books that I read in June. I'll put links down below to my Goodreads reviews, in case you guys want to read my written reviews as well. I hope you guys liked this wrap-up. Comment down below if you've read any of these books and tell me your thoughts on them. I'll see you guys in my next video. Bye!